Well, welcome back. This is Julie Baronick, host of the Seven Figure Builder Show, and I'm here today with my friend Natalia Graf-Anders. Hey, Natalia.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I am as well, and today's going to be a fun show.
Yes.
You are the CEO of Sync Equestrian, so we get to go into the equestrian world, which is near and dear to my heart. So tell
Yeah,
us a little bit about your business. What do you do?
absolutely. So Sync Equestrian is an apparel brand for equestrians. So I like to think of us like the Lululemon of equestrian apparel. We really came in, 4 years ago, and we changed the industry when it came to fit, comfort, style, and we just changed it all up for customers, which is why I think, a brand ended up being a huge success. We're also one of the few brands who strive to show all body types, all ages, all disciplines, because, in our sport, there's always been like one protocol of what a rider is supposed to look like. And we wanted to come in and really change that so women don't put so much pressure on themselves to like, oh, I have to look like this, or oh my gosh, like I'm over 40, no one cares about me anymore. Like society tells us all of these things. So I took it as a really big responsibility to come in and showcase, all women, because like we're so powerful and we're so amazing, and all women should be celebrated no matter what age or size or riding discipline. Like if you love horses, Sync is for you. And yeah, so that's how the brand came about, and it's just been growing into also like an empowerment movement for women. So everything we do is really to make women feel good. And it started with just kind of hitting pain points that a lot of women had in riding clothes and making them cuter too and more comfortable. But then it just ended up growing into the empowerment piece, because I started receiving so many emails from customers just telling me how amazing they feel, wearing Sync, and how confident they feel and how beautiful they feel. And they never had that before. So then I was like, okay, it's our responsibility to really keep going with this and break the barriers within the industry and within society on what a woman should be like.
I love that. And it's so true and so important.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, awesome. And I'm a horse girl as well, so I can greatly appreciate what you do in the world that you're in. So I think it's pretty amazing. But
Yeah.
can you tell us a bit about your journey, with your business? Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so it was definitely a journey. We launched right around COVID. And I think that helped in a weird way because no one was going to physical stores anymore. So we really took off as soon as we launched. And then it's been 4 years now, and we just keep growing. I think our biggest year was last year, and this year is going to be a huge year as well, even 4xing what we did last year so far.
Wow.
So I'm, just really grateful. And I do business very differently than most people. So I don't believe in hustle till you fall apart, that whole mentality that society tells us. I work with energy, and I know this is going to sound a little bit like out there for a lot of people, but and I don't like using the word manifesting because I think it's been thrown around in the wrong context, and manifestation is really very science-based when you understand it's really just about rewiring your subconscious beliefs. So I'm really, really heavy into working on my subconscious beliefs on a daily basis. And I've seen my business just keep on growing the more I get into this aspect, right? So every morning, like I don't want to sound like that CEO, but I do meditate every morning.
Mhm.
Like I take at least an hour every morning to myself to get my mind right before I even jump into anything business related. Because as humans, like we can have our nervous system switched on all the time. Like we're no longer being chased by lions,
Right.
but sitting in traffic, for example, our nervous system gets turned on like we're being chased by a lion. But back in the day, it will turn back off after the chase was over. But in today's life, like we have so many distractions constantly pinging at us. Our nervous system is constantly turned on unless we consciously make a choice to come back and to turn it off. And the decisions you make when your nervous system is turned off are so much more powerful because they're more in alignment with you and where you want to go. Whereas if your nervous system is turned on, you're like, in a fear state, as like with our horses, for example. I always want to have my horse, or I've been teaching him how to be in a parasympathetic state. instead of having his nervous system turn on, because then you're doing everything through tension and resistance and nothing is flowing. So once I understood how to take control of that and how to really control my thoughts and my emotions every single day, no matter what was going on the outside, my business just completely took off. Like my numbers were just insane.
Yeah. And
And
I think that's, oh, go ahead, finish your thought.
I was going to say, and I saw that correlation. The more I got into that work, the more my business grew. And it wasn't necessarily because I was doing more physical work. In fact, I do less physical work now. So,
Absolutely. And I think it's really cool that you take that perspective, which applies in horsemanship, right? Like the way your mindset is, the way you walk into, you know, coming to be with your horse. And for those people that aren't into the horse world, like there's a very deep connection between the rider and the horse. They sense your energy, they can sense where your mindset is, they can sense when you're distracted. And, you know, my background is I've done a lot of liberty work with my horse, and I absolutely love so I can, you know, tell that that's your mindset, which I think is really awesome. Which liberty work, for those that don't know, again, we don't typically go down the horse pathway, so I'm excited that we are today. But it's being able to work with your horse without force, basically, right? Like being able to have them just listen to what you're doing and listen to what you're telling them through different movements, things that you've trained them, and just being very in sync with your animal. And I see that you've taken those same principles and frankly applied them into your business, right? Like the more you're present, the more you put yourself first, the more you focus on your mindset. And we talk a lot about mindset on this show, but this is a different way of doing that, right? Like it's being very in tune with your energy, your thoughts first, putting yourself first, and then getting in the right state of mind, and then being able to grow your business because of that. And
yeah.
I'm curious, what is the correlation that you see there?
Oh, absolutely. Like if it weren't for my horse, I wouldn't have this business. I mean, my horse turned me into who I am today from every single aspect. And we have a very close relationship. And I do everything, like the way I train him is completely different than what you see being taught.
Mhm.
And my horse teaches me. I'm not his trainer. He is my trainer in a sense. And that's another thing with the brand, you know, the partnerships and collaborations I do with trainers and riders. It's all about mostly the people who are coming in and changing the way we also train horses and work with horses, because I'm seeing such a huge shift. And I do believe my purpose is to always put the horse first.
Mhm.
Like we can have a big rider, and if I don't think they're practicing horsemanship the way I would, I will not sponsor them. I will always put our horses first. And, you know, we even the charities we give to are all about helping abused donkeys and horses. And it's just, I wouldn't be here without him. My horse took me from being extremely like insecure and shy and like not trusting myself to now I've had him for 5 years now. To just being like a CEO, being very confident. Just if you would have seen me 5 years ago and you see me now, your mind would just be blown away,
Yeah,
because he did that though, you know, and I owe my entire business to him. Our logo is him. That's his picture in the back. He's
I
done
love
every like
that.
guest with me, and spiritually, like I'm so connected to the herd. And yeah, I wouldn't be here without them.
I love that. And could you tell us a bit about your own transformation? Like you kind of touched on it, but what did that look like for you, and how
Yeah,
has that, you know, contributed
yeah.
to your life?
So I went from I've had like I've lived 20 different lifetimes in this one life. So I'd make it as quick as possible. But I went from like I lived in New York for 12 years. I was a professional model. Everything was glamorized. And from the outside, you would think I was really happy, but I was miserable. So I quit that, long story short, and I moved back here to the Northern Virginia, DC area. And I thought, okay, well, that was fun, but I was so unhappy. What should I do next? And I thought doing the corporate life, was accepted by society. It's like, okay, get a six-figure salary, do the rat race, do all of that. I did that for 2 years and my body was literally breaking apart because I just could not. I was super depressed. I was missing patches of hair because my body was telling me, like, I cannot sustain this anymore.
Yeah.
My job was really, really stressful. But again, from the outside looking in, six-figure salary, nice car, everything looked amazing, but I was deeply unhappy, even more unhappy than I was in New York. So that's when everything kind of hit the fan for me. And I quit my job. I used to take Adderall because it was like the only thing that could get me to even go to this job. You know, people talk about ADD a lot and ADHD, and within today's society, like almost everyone has it, right? And I truly feel that Adderall is just a way to medicate people to keep working these jobs that they absolutely hate. Because if you learn how to work with your ADD or ADHD, it's a really cool gift, you
Mhm.
know, and you can get so much done if you're doing the things that you truly want to do. So I was medicated. I kept taking this Adderall to like go to this job until one day I just broke down and I said, I can't do this anymore. Like this cannot be life. And that's literally what I asked myself. Like if this is life, I don't want to do it anymore. Like this sucks. So then I quit my job and I was coming off the Adderall, and I was lucky enough to be able to like I got rid of my apartment, move back home, you know, and I was lucky to have that, and a lot of people don't have
Mhm.
that. So I had like a year of just coming off the Adderall, which was extremely difficult because your brain does not know how to pump dopamine on its own anymore. So you're like depressed. You know, I was extremely depressed to the point where I would just like stare at the ceiling and not even care if I woke up the next day. Like that's how bad it was. Not that I would
Mm.
actually do anything, but I didn't.
Yeah, but
I
still.
I felt so hopeless. And that's actually the same year I met my horse. And this is where I was when I met him. And the way I met him is, you know, I thought to myself, well, what have I always done that made me happy? And it was horses. So I started volunteering at this rehoming facility for thoroughbreds. And the crazy story is that my horse actually got there the same day I got there.
You're kidding.
Yeah, and I had no intention of buying a horse or anything at the time. I didn't even have a job, you know.
Mhm.
And ended up he injured himself on top of that. Like usually they were moving in and out of there so quickly, and like he injured himself. So then we bonded, and the lady was like, "Do you want him?" I was like, "How?" Like I don't even know what I'm gonna do with my life. But long story short, I was able to like work some things off there to board him there, and I ended up getting him. And that's when my journey really began. Like my horse took me from staring at the ceiling and not caring to little by little, he built me up. Little by little, he gave me confidence. Little by little, you know, I started to feel better and better as I was transitioning off my old life, like stepping into my new journey. So the first thing I did after that was start a digital marketing agency because I've always loved advertising and marketing.
Mhm.
And I saw this is like, I think this was like 2019, right? Yeah, 2019. So there was like a huge shift within like Facebook ads and all these things going on. So I wanted to help other businesses like really take their platforms online and do all these things. But then once I was doing that, I realized I didn't really want to work with customers like one-on-one like that. And I wanted to find a way to make money where I could have freedom. Because what I really just wanted to do was hang out with my horses. So then I was like, well, how can I make money just hanging out with my horses? And then I realized there was a huge problem in the clothing market because nothing was cute, nothing was comfortable, everything was like super traditional. Like I would wear gym clothes to go
Mhm.
ride because it was just more
Yeah.
comfortable. But then I didn't have stick and all the things that I needed and the pocket space, you know. So then we created Sync Equestrian came about. Our first launch was 3 products. Now we have like over 60.
Wow.
And my horse, once again, like I give him credit for all of it. I truly believe that my horse it like puts seeds into my brain. Like I ask him questions and I get answers. So that connection is just so strong. Um, and yeah, so that's how Sync was born, and here we are, and I love what I do.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and now I'm stepping into teaching a course, which is really interesting. So I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. I was always really scared to do it because for one, I thought I needed to build up my credibility and have the numbers. Like I can't just go and say, "Hey, I want to sell a course on this." Like if you don't have the numbers, I couldn't do it. So I waited and I waited, and I probably could have done it like 2 years ago, but I was really scared. And then finally, just last month, you know, I launched my first course because I want to see other entrepreneurs, especially women, like have this kind of financial freedom and time, you know, to do the things that they love. And I know it's possible. So that's where I'm at now. Long story short.
I love that. And tell us about the course. What is involved with that?
Yeah, so the course is so it's about working with energy, but so when I went from 6 to 7 figures, it's because I started working with the energy of money in particular. We all have so many subconscious beliefs about money that we're not even aware of. And we cannot go past a certain financial point unless we address those subconscious beliefs. And they're so deeply rooted. So if you think about it, like Hollywood, even, like all the movies, everything you watch, it's always like people with money are evil, people with money are X, Y, and Z. Money doesn't grow on trees. Like we've all heard these things throughout our lives, but it's actually so far away from the truth because money, the natural state of money is abundance, like nature, like rain, right? It's only your limiting beliefs that are blocking money from coming to you in abundance. So once you crack, what those subconscious beliefs are, money just becomes like a flow. It just keeps coming. And it's amazing. So once I started to really get into that work is when I saw the biggest shift within my business, which is why I thought it would be a good first course because I see a lot of like manifestation courses and all these things, but no one's really addressing this. And this is the most important piece that anyone who wants to bring in more abundance needs to understand. Because you can do all the work, right? You can spend freaking 15-hour days like doing all the work, doing all the things, but until you face and figure out what those subconscious beliefs that you have about money are, you will not be able to go past a certain point. And then it becomes we all have a money meter, right? So we all have a certain amount of money that we're comfortable making every month. And I'll give you an example. So like when our first year, I had like a really big month and I was so happy. Like I couldn't even believe it. It was like more than I got in my yearly salary. Like I was shocked and I was like so happy. But then after that month, it started to drop down. And I realized it's because even though I was really, really happy, my deep subconscious beliefs were not used to making that much money. And my nervous system set off and I got scared. And all of these like subconscious beliefs about not being worthy and like just deeply rooted stuff came up, which then for the next month after that became down in sales. So I started to notice a yo-yo pattern in my sales too. And that's how I kept getting into this work. And like even now, I'm constantly making our months bigger because I'm making that number that I'm comfortable with bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's a process you can keep going with. Like it's not just like a one and done. And that's the beautiful thing. Like you can literally grow your business into whatever you want once you understand how to work with these principles.
Yeah. Well, the alternative, if you don't address them, is self-sabotage and getting in your own way and just, not moving forward in your business, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm curious, you were mentioning, what is your horse's name, by the way?
King.
King. I love that. How has your relationship with King helped with your confidence? Like it sounds like that's been a journey in and of itself.
Oh my gosh. That's still a journey because some days I'm like, ah. But
It always
yeah,
is.
so I got him. He's huge. He's like this 17 hand dark bay like horse. And I just fell in love with him. And the crazy thing is, when I first saw him, I kept referring to him as her for like a week straight. And this is when I was like really broken. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, she's so powerful. She's so elegant. She's so this, that. And it's because I was seeing myself in my horse. But I wasn't aware of that until recently. I was like, that's why I kept calling him a her. Like
Right.
that's how connected we were from the get-go. And when I first got him, he was really like, I mean, he was fresh off the track and he's
Right.
huge and he knew it. So he really made me step up and face my fears. And it was a journey. It didn't happen overnight. I mean, I still have days where I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna die today. But I face my fears, and I trust him. So he's really helped me step into myself and just knowing that I can trust myself. And also letting go of control is the biggest piece. Like I took him bitless as soon as I got him off the track, and everybody said I was crazy.
Mhm.
But he
I do
told
too.
he told me, he's like, I want to be bitless. And I was like, I don't know. Okay. No training. Just put it on. But he was perfectly fine. But that's another thing, like always gripping like the reins, like just letting go, trusting, cantering on a loose rein, doing everything on a loose rein, really being in tune with myself. So when I'm riding my horse, more than anything, I'm also paying attention to my own energy. Where are my thoughts? Am I with my horse? Am I paying attention to other stuff? Am I thinking about my business? Like he's become the most precious self-awareness tool for me there is you know
Yeah.
when you feel their energy under you and you're so connected in the present moment, like as I'm sure it's like the most liberating, powerful, freeing feeling. You just get goosebumps. Like there's nothing I can compare to that, you know? And I think that's why we're so addicted to horses because they give us so much that we can't even put into words, I think.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I know they read so much about us, like to your point of just self-awareness and reading each other. Like I know I take mine, we go for walks and I'll be walking with him, no reins, no nothing, and we just walk
Yeah.
together side by side, and as soon if my phone buzzes and I pick up my phone and I'm distracted, he's instantly distracted. And it's like we lose that connection immediately.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, back to, refocus, reconnected. And you mentioned that you do Liberty also, and from, like I said, most people listening, this is new to them. Can you tell us
Yeah.
a bit about what that is, what that looks like?
Yeah, it just looks like working with I look at it like energy. I work through a field of energy. There's no
Mhm.
force. I tune into his energy, he tunes into my energy, and we dance. That's the best way I can put it. And it's like
Mhm.
an energetic dance, you know, and I draw him in and I draw him out and we're just vibing. So there's nothing wrong with people who like to compete and do all these things if you're doing it correctly. Like another thing I'm really passionate about is the biomechanics of a horse. I think 99% of horses do not have the correct biomechanics to do the things that they do, even
Mhm.
on Olympic level. So bringing awareness to that, and there's like one lady who we work with, my friend Celeste. She has a program called the Balance Through Movement Method, and her program has transformed my horse in ways that I can't even tell you. And not just him, like thousands of horses. And it's such a revolutionary approach. So, our dragon breeches, for example, are a collaboration with her and her program. And it's because I really want to get her program out there, even for our customers. I think every person should know about the things that she's teaching because it's just mind blowing. The horses are just so much more comfortable in their bodies and they're using themselves correctly so they can do all the things we ask them to do, you know? And yeah, so that's another thing that I guess is like Sync's mission, just really bringing awareness to that stuff. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And looking back over your business, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of this, but what are some gaps that you see that other people don't do with their business that could really help them?
Staying original and not being in a mindset of competition, like a fear set. I would say that comes from fear, you know. I I think a lot of people like when they see someone successful, they just try to copy their blueprint instead of doing what they should be doing. Because I think the reason some businesses are really successful and others are not is because they're following their own intuition on what they should be doing. It's intuitive decision making. It's, in my case, intuitive designing. It's everything is so aligned to me versus like looking at, oh, like this brand's doing really well. Let me take that and put my logo on it and just change it a little bit. Or let me copy their, fabrics and stuff like that and just put my stuff on it. Like you just have to be really original from A to Z, not just copy some and then add your own like thing to it. Because when you're original, that's what will set you apart. People feel that energy. I truly believe that our customers feel the energy in our breaches. Like there's like magic woven into it. I believe that. And it's because it's so intentional, so original to my mission and what we want to do that people pick up on that. So if you have a business, if you're true to yourself and you're in alignment with yourself and you're making intuitive decisions and not fear-based decisions, you're going to have a product that will align with a lot of people because that's your gift, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you come through, everything that you're doing, like everything is
Yeah.
synced together. And you've accomplished a ton in your business, personally, professionally, but how do you define success? What does that look like for you?
For me, success is freedom. I mean, look, I'm very abundant now and I'm very grateful, but what I like about it the most is freedom to wake up and do what I want, freedom of time, being able to spend my time the way I want it. That is true success to me. Because even if I were making what I'm making now and I was working 40-hour weeks, I would not be happy. I think being able to crack the code of how to create something where you have free time for me means success.
Absolutely. And if you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what would you tell them?
Pay attention to your thoughts and your emotions. because that's what's creating your reality. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's science-based at this point. And stop playing victim, because once you start becoming your own creator, your life will change drastically. But until you realize that, you are playing victim and you change things, it just won't. You'll stay in the same boat. Like, you can become the captain of your boat versus just being the passenger.
Yeah.
But that takes a level of awareness and changing your thoughts and shifting your energy. But you can do it. You can 100% do it.
Right. But it requires being intentional and making a decision to do that, right?
And wanting it. Like, how bad do you want it? Or
Yeah.
the thing is, a lot of people want change, I think, but they're also afraid to come out the comfort zone. Because wherever they are, even if it's not good where they are right now, it's comfortable because it's what they know. So not being afraid to step into the unknown and not being afraid of change and just getting a little uncomfortable is also important, because you never know what's going to meet you on the other side.
Absolutely. Awesome. And where can people find you online and check out your apparel and really just connect with you?
Yeah, so my personal Instagram is Natalia or Natasha. Our brand is Sync, SYNC Equestrian, and you can also get it at syncequestrian.com and at Sync Equestrian on Instagram.
Awesome. And we'll have all the links below for people to come check you out.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, yeah. And if you found value in this episode, please do share it. That's how people find us. And you can find me at sevenfigurebuilder.com, and I will see you on the next episode.